Alrighty, what's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. Guys, the market had quite a big nasty gap down today. And we saw the NASDAQ go under -2% today. And then by the end of the day, we did see it get bought up, but then it got sold. So we're going to talk about it in this video. I'm going to show two things here at the start of the video that I think is very important. And this is kind of summing up how, I'm looking at the whole thing and, how I, no financial advice, but I would advise looking at it like this, because if you don't look at it like this, you're going to have a bad time. Fear and greed index, guys. You see how that says 28 right now? It was at 26 this morning. 25 is extreme fear. All right. It doesn't get any simpler than this. All right. The fear and greed index is something that, you get weary about when you're in extreme greed. All right. You're like, the market is euphoric. It could top at any point. It can. But then it does not like to stay down here at extreme fear. If it gets down to extreme fear, which again, that's at 25, this is literally where you put in your major bottoms. When you're in fear territory, this is where you normally see the market start rebounding from. You do not see it get a bottom put in when you're in greed. And you do not see a top get put in when you are in fear territory. That is typically just not how this is going to go. All right. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to point out, yes, you got down to 26 today. And after today's, big rally back up, you're still only at 28. Okay? It is at 28. If you see another move down tomorrow, this is going to go right back down into extreme fear territory. And at that point, we're right there at the bottom. I know I could only go a year back on this thing right here. But I can guarantee if you had another year of data, it would be the same exact thing. Every time you get down into extreme fear, you put in the bottom and you start seeing a rebound from there. Maybe it takes some time. Over here, we are in extreme fear territory from August 5th, all right, all the way up till August 12th. Let's just come back over the charts and see what happened. August 5th, it was when the market, was apparently crashing, which honestly, it looked like it was crashing. I was like, nah, I don't think it's crashing, but it looked like it was crashing. All right, it did. And then that goes all the way out until here. All right, the market, I'm not going to call this a base, but they kind of just grinded higher. We can see it grind higher until, the market gets out of that extreme fear territory. Or we could see it, actually just consolidate down here for a week and then rally. Or it just rallies from here. Those are the three scenarios. All right, so before I show you anything on the charts here, I just want to get that up front. This thing is already right above where we see market bottoms get put in. All right. It got down to 26 today. And I'm going to say, when we see these things, downside is limited. I know some people don't want to hear that. You want Bear Henry to come out and about. And you want me to say, oh, guys, it's time to start falling. I'm going to tell you right now, we have the golden pocket sitting right here. We have DIA and IWM sitting right here. IWM now with a bullish divergence on the daily RSI. DIA, if it undercuts this low here at 421.72, it will also have a bullish divergence on the daily RSI. Again, not things we see at tops. These are things when we see at bottoms. It don't even got to, be a big bottom where we, rally all the way back up here to new high. But, we're going to probably say we're right around a decent swing low here before we have a rally. There's really no denying it. You pair together what I just put together over here, fear and greed index, then right there, still in fear territory, almost in extreme fear territory. All right. You have DIA's daily RSI already came down to 30. And now it's coming back down. It's going to put in a bullish divergence. I'm sorry. I can't help but laugh at this. IWM already has the bullish divergence. And if it does come down, it's going to test the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement from this whole move up, golden pocket status, with the bullish divergence on the RSI. And people want to sit here saying the market's going to fall off a cliff. I'm sorry, guys. This is a clear as day buying opportunity. The market is not crashing right now. I promise it is not crashing right now. I'll put my name on it. It's not having a market crash right now. All right. We are probably going to see this act the same way, we normally see it. And you're probably, going to be bouncing back from this, whether it takes some time like it did down here or not. All right. You put in a bullish divergence, you shot right back up. All right. I don't know how long these things are going to take to develop right here. This is kind of what we have. All right. You bounced, came down. You now have a bullish divergence. Okay. It's not exactly like that, but you can piece together the picture that I'm drawing here in your head. This market has downside being limited, and there's really no questioning it after you just look at IWM, DIA, Fear and Greed Index. All right. And then I'm also gonna, before we get into the charts, I'm gonna flash this guy right here. All right. I flashed this thing at the bottom here, and I said I want to see it rally on up, right over here, back to the mean. This line right here. This is somewhere where if you're bouncing up, this is where you get a lot of reactions from. You pull back from it. And now I'm going to point out, every time you rallied from here, this is only a year of data here. Right? It's 2 years of data here. Only 2 years of data. All right. Every time you rally up, you did not come back down to that low. So I do not think we are going to be, seeing the market fall off another cliff here. I think maybe you have a slow grind from here, or you consolidate. And if you do end up taking out the low, you're going to have a divergence on this, and then it's going to wind up like any one of these other ones. It gets bought. All right. You went to this line, just like we did right here. You went to this line, you went to the line, and you pulled back right over here. That'll be another red day. If we get one more red day, you're probably going to see this thing back here. And then you probably are going to rally from there. All right. So, I'm not going to act like I know exactly what's going to happen here in the short term, because as you could see, the market, is still selling. We were down 2% today at the lows on the NASDAQ. Okay. So I'm not going to say I know, for a fact what the short-term price action is going to bring. I really don't. What I can point out, what I'm, looking at here, we already had the 4-hour RSI tap oversold territory over here on NQ. Same thing on ES, RTY, YM. They all have the same exact look to them. And honestly, it's just not something that looks like it's about to fall off a cliff to me. If you come down and make a new low, that's going to be your low. You're not going to come all the way back down here. All right. You're not going to be giving back a lot of this rally here. You're very likely just going to slightly undercut it and then spring back up. All right. And again, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, because there's a lot of people preying on the market's downfall. Maybe you're going to profit from it. But I'm here to tell you, all right, this market is probably not going much lower. It's just not. Weekly time frame, you do have the 21 sitting right below us right now in the golden pocket. You've already tested the golden pocket once. You come back down to test again, you're probably going to find buyers again. All right, so now with everything that I just mentioned out of the way, let's dive into the TA and take a closer look at these charts. All right, so first things first, guys, support is going to be 586 or 587.66. 586.12, 583.32. Ideally, this zone right here holds right here, 583.32 to 586.12. Then we have 580.91. All right. If you undercut 580.91, all right, guys, I'm not going to lie, it's going to look pretty ugly over here. But again, with what I just showed you, I don't think the market has much more downside in the tank. And, actually, I'm going to fast forward here. Mr. VIX over here, guys. Why do we keep getting, sellers stepping in over here on VIX? All right. I know it's just a derivative of SPX, but, TA works on this guy over here. And we are continuously getting these sellers here on the spike. The market has had a chance to fall off a cliff 2 days in a row now, and it has not closed down near the lows. You're getting buyers. Okay. You are getting buyers buying these dips. VIX keeps spiking and then coming back down. That is something to note. And again, keep in mind, the market is already right above extreme fear. If you really are to come down here, that thing's going to be in extreme fear territory. And at that point, I don't really care how low it goes here. between here and here, does not matter to me. You are going to have downside be limited. And within 1 to 2 weeks from that point, you are probably going to witness prices be a lot higher than where you are buying at. Again, no financial advice will be given on this channel. None whatsoever. But I'm telling you, if you're shorting when the market is that fearful, all right, and you short on these gap downs, you're probably not going to have a good time. And if you have a good time for a day or so, the market's probably going to get bought up within the next few trading sessions. Like people who, are just focusing on the short-term price action here, I do not think that's the move. I think the money-making opportunity lies in, taking on some swings 2 to 3 months out on if you're playing options and have that as your time horizon. Give it 2 to 4 weeks here. Even if you're just trading shares, give it 2 to 4 weeks. And the prices you're seeing today, we are probably going to be higher than those prices. Just give it some time. All right, give it some time. Now let's go over resistance over here on SPY. It's going to be 591.04, 593, 595.75, and 597.78. We will see if price can get up there, guys. If we do get, you got this. There's a spinning top candlestick. Well, this is the exact opposite of that. If you do end up gapping up, we're talking maybe 590 open. Chances are you're probably going to rally from there and come test the short-term moving averages around 595.75. All right. So if you gap up to here, you're probably going to catch this $4 to $5 move up here. Okay. Now, if you gap down again, let's say you open here around 584 tomorrow. You somehow gap underneath today's low. You open at 584. From there, we probably are very extremely likely going to take out this 580.91 level. And I would expect buyers in between 576.75 and 580.91. I don't know exactly where they're going to step in here. I really don't. But like I just showed you, when the market is sitting there and you see that extreme fear pop up, that is literally the time you could have bought in every single time over the past few years. And you would have expected prices to be higher than where they were when you were buying them over the next 2 to 4 weeks. You will have a good time. Everyone can see this head and shoulders pattern. Wouldn't it be so amazing to see it start to break down? You get everyone screaming and shouting about it, and then it rallies back up. It would be picture perfect. All right? It is extremely obvious, just like this thing over here on NVIDIA is extremely obvious. All right? You have the left shoulder. I'll just draw it out for everyone. Left shoulder. You got a head there. You got a right shoulder. What happened? You slightly broke down for a day, and then you got bought up the next day. Okay? And from that low, you ended up going up $6. It would be the same situation in SPY. Everyone's seeing it. Everyone's calling about it on Twitter and social media. If you're not already following the Twitter, go follow. I'm not going to act like I've been posting a lot over there. I've been focusing on, my own stuff, on the community and my own trading, rather than growing the Twitter. And I've done my best to stay consistent here on YouTube. I hope you guys do enjoy the videos. I really do. But yeah, you could follow the Twitter over there. I will return back to, consistently posting 3 to 4 times a day with charts that I think are of value, probably over the next month. But for the meantime, my focus is not on Twitter right now. All right? But I can see a gauge on Twitter when everyone is calling for the end of the world on NVIDIA, on the NASDAQ, and on Mr. Tesla over there. All right? But, over here in SPY, guys, that pretty much sums it up. You take out this low, I think it downside is going to be limited, and you could be like, oh, this guy only calls for upside. I'm going to be completely honest. We're in a bull market. You have the market in fear territory. All right? We were sitting up here. I didn't see this move coming. I didn't. And then it came, and I took advantage of it. And I made some money on there. Okay? And I still think we're in that same exact money-making opportunity right here where we are. All right? I stand by that. I think the dip is going to act as a buying opportunity. Things take time to play out. I don't care that you're going to be, red for a few days. I speak of swing trading because I swing trade. And on this channel, I talk about what I do. I never condone short-term options trading. I don't think it's a good idea. I think you should be focused on catching the swings, and you're going to have a much better time multiplying your money over time. All right. But if you want to get caught up in the mess of short-term options trading, that's up to you. I get a lot of, bitching and moaning sometimes in the comments when, things don't, they take a little longer than I'm thinking to play out. Like over here, I was saying to buy the dip right here. I was saying this is a clear buying opportunity. Over here, you have the, end of the world comments coming over here. Henry has to blop, 20 to 40 freaking people in a 24-hour span. Why? Because there's just haters coming. Oh, you're wrong. Oh my God, you're an idiot. Oh my God, delete your channel. And then what happens? It plays out. We're in the same exact situation, guys. Maybe it takes a little time, but I'm going to be honest. It's clear as day that we're going to get this move. We're going to get a decent-sized rally sparking up from here. I say it is a time to buy your favorite stocks at discounts, right? The companies that you like. And I'll go over some opportunities that I see on the board that will be moving with the market throughout this video. Moving over to the NASDAQ, over here to the QQQ. Just like SPY, you're sitting right above the golden pocket here. If you undercut this low, I don't think you go much lower than that. Just me being truthful over there. Your support, 515.58, 511.45. All right, where we saw buyers stepping in right there at the low today. 509.29, below from over here on the 20th. All right, your monthly OPEX. Undercut that low, guys. I already pointed out what I see on IWM and DIA. I don't think the market's going much lower with those looking like that. I think it makes no sense. Like, we'll just come back over here. This is where you get bottoms been put in. All right. It can look a little sloppy from time to time. Okay. You could dance around, but at the end of the day, you see the daily RSI get into oversold territory. You're probably right about at the bottom. And there's really no denying it. You could just go back for quite some time here. You can go back to your bear market. You still have the same thing. I understand. This is what I'm saying. I would be calling for it on this day. Oh, you went a little lower. But then you based out for quite some time. This was during your bear market. You based out for a month. Okay? And then you ascended into the heavens. So again, I don't know how these things are going to play out. But I'm just going to point out that's when you were in this aggressive downtrend. Right now, we've had nothing but uptrend for, 1 to 2 years. It's probably not going to be like that. And even if it is like that, yeah, you base around for 2 to 4 weeks and then you fly into the heavens. But again, uptrend very clearly. You don't want to take out this low at 416.44. If you do, hey, things could actually be changing. We could see structure start to change on these charts. And that is that. All right. Come back over here to QQ. Let's just finish going over these levels. Support, 515.58, 511.45, 509.29. Then you watch 504. You better hold on to 504. Under there, you risk coming back down to this low at 494.49. Do I think that's going to happen? No. On the upside, resistance, 517.86, 521.76, 526.45, and 531.24. All right. I'll just, point out how valuable the golden pocket is. From here up to here, you retraced into the golden pocket. From here up to here, you retraced into the golden pocket from this move down. And now, I know it's not picture perfect. I know you already undercut it. But where do you start finding buyers down here? Golden pocket. All right. But the fact that you undercut the 0.786 fib right here at 514 tells me you have, odds saying that you can get back down here to 509.29, which is why, I want to say, I don't know what's going to happen in the short term. I could just point to you guys what I'm looking at all given times. And it is that simple. People want to clown on me for, getting some directional moves wrong. I'll own it when I get it wrong. But, most of them have not been wrong by any means. So, it is what it is sometimes. There's a lot of people who are just, claiming to be right if it goes either direction. I'll at least, wear that on my sleeve. I ain't got that. That's not me. I'll make the directional call. And right now I'm saying we have a rally loading. I don't think this was it. I don't. All right. So that is that. Moving over here to IWM. I already pointed this out. This is, one of the things suggesting to me. Downside is limited, guys. This thing is already oversold. It already has a bullish divergence. If you come down and tap 215, I think that's where your bottom gets put in. You got support sitting down there. You're going to have the golden pocket starting right there. And you have the daily RSI going to have a bullish divergence on it in oversold territory. Yeah, that's a recipe for getting a bounce from there. I don't care how long it takes. You droop your way down here. It's only another like 2% from where we closed today. It's only another, 1.2% from the low today. You get down there, you're probably going to get a reaction like this. And you can play that reaction. All right. Coming over here to DIA, same situation. Daily RSI is already sitting down. It's at 36.50. You come back down to 30. You undercut this low here. You have your bullish divergence in there on the daily RSI. You're probably very close to the bottom. At all costs, you want to protect 416.44. You do not want to take that out because at that point, that is on the weekly chart. That is your last swing low. You don't want to take it out. You're then trendless. Okay? You're the higher high over there. That'll be the first time you really have violated one of these lows this whole time. All right? And it can't happen like over here. You see how you took that out? You took it out right there. And then you came up for the lower high. And then you went down to new low. And then it reversed. But until right here, at that like you would have had to wait for this break to really resume that uptrend. You don't want to get in that sticky situation where you're just sitting there trendless, because it's either going to turn into a downtrend or it's going to be trendless for a while. And you just don't want that. You'd much rather just keep the uptrend intact. Okay? If that happens, that's our warning sign. But it's not happened yet. But we will sit on it and we will watch. All right? I already pointed out VIX, guys. It's still being sold. I really can't tell you why, but, if I had to guess, yeah, the market is just about in extreme fear territory when everyone is sitting there calling for a market crash or a major decline to start up. That's not how that works. All right? It's not how it works. I'll come back over there. You see this thing? You get down here, you're probably at a bottom. And people are going to short the hole with everyone online. And these are people I respect on my Twitter feed. They're people I respect that are saying these things. I think they're about to get their butts handed to them. And, I could get my butt handed to me. But, I'm going to be honest, guys. If NVIDIA goes up, I'm going to be sitting pretty. That's pretty much it. Speaking of NVIDIA, the big boy, what are you doing? What are you doing, bud? You could have had a perfect bullish engulfing candlestick print today. And then tomorrow we could have taken out this 141.90 high. Now I'm unsure. All right. But I guess we'll kick off the big boys with NVIDIA over here. Falling wedge. Break and retest. Clear as day, showing the relative strength on the day. The only other green ticker I have on my watch list, we got Oklo. We also are involved in that. But other than that, guys, it's VIX and NVIDIA. Okay? NVIDIA clears day relative strength on the day. I think that the market does decide to wake up. I think we're definitely going to be seeing NVIDIA outshine the others with what we saw today. I was already thinking it, but now it's clear as day. We saw it today. The thing went straight up off the open. Bought that thing up. Okay? If you can get above 141.90, you're probably going to come up here and test 146.54. That is the move I see right around the corner. I think it can happen. I would have loved for you to just close out the high here. So we could, very easily say, yeah, tomorrow we're taking on 141.90. But, without what just happened, I don't know. Okay? I don't know. And again, I'm going to say the same thing. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the short term, but I could point you in the right direction, and the right direction is up. And there's really no denying it when you look at the weekly chart or the daily chart. And I'm also, I don't got it because I don't use the what is it, Trend Spider. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I don't use the other software. There's TradingView and then there's the other one. I don't use the other one, but I saw it posted on Twitter. And these guys, it's like the cheapest compared to earnings. Price to earnings, price to forward earnings, I think I was saying. That it's been in a very long time. You see bottoms marked out where it's at right now. I think they were saying a 50 PE or whatever they were saying. All right. I don't look at that stuff, but I know this is a good company. I know it's set up, and I'm going to be honest. We saw it today. It got bought up clear as day over others. I think it's right around the corner if the market decides to make a U-turn. All right. Coming over here to Tesla. Tesla, guys, sitting back down at its previous all-time high. You put on extended hours, you actually made a new low over here. Okay. 4-hour RSI is getting down to oversold territory. At the same time, you're coming into the daily 21 EMA in that previous all-time high zone. All right, you could actually see it clears down over here on the weekly chart, marked by this high and this high. You're now coming back into that. You're going to have the weekly 9 sitting right below, right around 384.29. I'm going to make a call here. Like I was saying, guys, I ain't no pussy. All right. You know, it is what it is. Some people are going to say they're right, you know, all the time. I'm going to make directional calls that people can actually sit there and use to make money, because the vast majority of YouTube channels, it's kind of complex. All right. And you're making 2 directional calls here. In reality, that's not helping people. All right. I'm going to say between 384.29 and 402.67, I think Tesla is a clear as day buy. I think it's probably going to, you know, be somewhere in that area that we see this, you know, next swing low get put in, and then we can rally back up. All right. But I'll just point out, you have a 1, you have a 2, you have a 3. That is 3 waves here. Okay. If you can then, from this low that gets put in, take out this high, we have confirmation that this was the corrective wave. And we're probably going a lot higher over here on Tesla. I know that's a lot to wait for. But again, I think swing low probably gets put in between 384.29 and 402.67, somewhere in there. All right. And then if you can take out this high right here at 465, I know you're going to have to play the waiting game. Okay. But if you can do it, that is when you probably are going to march your way up to, you know, 500, 550. We'll see what happens after that, maybe 600. All right. But I think it is around the corner. This breakout has just begun. You get a pullback. It's a clear as day buying opportunity. There's really no question about it. Microsoft. Let's talk about it. Trendline test right here. You're finding buyers off. It wasn't the prettiest candle that could have printed today, considering you were up at the highs at one point and it looked beautiful. All right. But you are in the golden pocket. We talked about this. And now the daily RSI is getting down to that spot where you have been bouncing back at for a long time. You got to go back to the bear market if you really not to start bouncing there. And you had one over here. Okay. But again, I'm going to point out downtrend. All right. You were, you know, trending lower for quite some time over here. Right here, guys, you just broke up from, you know, 3 months of consolidation. You're now revisiting it. I don't think this is something that gets sold. You clear as day have a higher high over here compared to these ones over here. You see how that's a lower high compared to there, lower high compared to there. You're compressing here. You broke out to the upside. It has made the directional move. It has showed us what it wants to do. It wants to go higher. I think we're probably going to get buyers stepping in somewhere right around where prices currently are. I made the call in between 429.04 and this trend line. You're probably going to get buyers stepping in, and that will probably be a bottom. While we're still right here at the trend line, and now we're going to see what happens. Okay, come over the 4-hour RSI. It's already oversold. Okay, can it go lower? Yes, it can. But a lot of the times we see it bounce back from here. We see the daily RSI start bouncing back from here most of the time, every time except for over here. And then I will also remind everyone what we just talked about. You broke out from this downtrend here. You broke the trend line. You broke out from your 3 months of consolidation in an impulsive manner there. And you're just coming back to revisit the scene of the crime. You're very likely going to get bought up. That is Microsoft. Meta over here. I'm not going to say this daily chart is pretty. I'm not even going to say the weekly chart is pretty. It's not. All right, it's not. But at the same time, come over here. It already got into oversold territory once. If you come down and undercut that low, all right, and you have a higher high over here on the other side, you will have the 4-hour bullish divergence. Nonetheless, you'll be just in the golden pocket. All right, so hit 578.46. You probably start seeing buyers pop up just like they did last time. That was a breakout level over here. Underneath there, we're watching 570. All right, again, I'm not going to call this daily chart the prettiest thing. I'm not going to call the weekly chart the prettiest thing. But I do think the dip will be bought over here. You have a lot of confluence sitting down here, and I would like to see it. All right, you also have the 21 sitting up there, and we can see that is something that provides buyers. Buyers. You danced around it for a little bit. No buyers. Buyers. We're coming back into that spot. All right, coming over to Goog. I think this is, you know, probably one of the better ones over here. It kind of reminds me of the look of Tesla. It just took, a lot less time over here. But again, just like Tesla, fresh all-time high breakout, guys. Let's just come over to Amazon and see what happened over there. You pulled back into it for 2 weeks, and then you rallied your butt off. You could have caught that move, but maybe you were super scared because it looked scary. It always is going to look scary. All right? But at the end of the day, you peeped your head up. This is now going to be week 2 of pulling back into this. We're going to see how this goes. You have the weekly 9 sitting right below. And if you really pull all the way back to 186.37 or 183.79, you're going to have a weekly 9 EMA test right here. That is something we know, that brings the buyers in, buyers in, buyers in, buyers in. And if it's not there, it's the 21. And if you come back down here all the way to 180, that is when you're probably going to have this 21 EMA right here meet you halfway. All right? I don't know exactly how it's going to go. And honestly, you don't have to bounce back from right here. You just have some confluence here. We can see it on the daily time frame. You have the 21 sitting right there. You have these short-term moving average here, the 9, the 21. All right. You have the breakout zone right there. You have the golden pocket right there. It's not the worst looking chart in the world. Get above 193.31. We probably start moving back up to 198.16 and then take out the high at 202.88. If you see 189 get given up, all right, let's just call it 188.75. You see 188.75, you probably are going to come back down and revisit 186.37. At that point, maybe you come all the way back down here, 183.79. All right, Apple, we point this out. All right, not a pretty weekly candlestick coming into this week. But what did we also point out? Clear as day buying opportunities, no question about it. And this is why I say, like, hey, why are people super bearish on the market on every single little pullback? I know it's a little bit more than a little pullback, but at the same time, it's so clear as day. Like, we have components that are, just set up in this bullish manner. They still have the bullish structure. And Apple is a prime, all right? A prime example of that. Fresh breakout, all right? 4 to 5 months of consolidation. You broke out in a very impulsive manner here, all right? You're now pulling back. Guys, if you see 245, it's probably going to get bought. Enough said. There's nothing really else to say about it. Like, you don't have to be a wizard on the charts to see that this thing just broke out. This pullback is going to be a buying opportunity guaranteed. All right? And if it really does somehow get all the way back down to 237.23, that's where you load the freaking boat. All right? And you print absolute fat stacks. You see that? You buy 5 to 6 months calls. All right? And you ride it back up for this move. And there's your 100%. Very easy. Okay? Amazon. Again, pulling back. 215.90 is going to be that weekly 9 EMA test. All right? You have the breakout level sitting there. We talked about this in the weekly update. We've been talking about it, right? If you pull back in that level, it's going to be a good spot. Right underneath, guys, you are going to have the golden pocket from this whole move up right here. Okay? But honestly, like, this is selling in a controlled manner, in my personal opinion. It's kind of something like we had over here. All right? It's not just this impulsive selling down that undercuts a low. This is bullish structure. This is what I was just pointing out on Apple. It's clear as day that these pullbacks are buying opportunities. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. Okay? That's all I'm going to say over here on Amazon. Now, let's just go over the chips real quick. We're going to speed through these guys. Guys, SMH is sitting right here on the trend line. We're just going to wait and see what happens here. I'm not going to make any calls on this one. It looked, it started breaking down. You gave us the false breakdown over here. And now you start pushing up the upper trend line, top of the range. You didn't test 253.07. You just need a daily close above it. What happened? You crapped the bed, and now you're back out it. Guys, we're about to have a nice directional move. That is the call I will make here. It is about to happen. We are so close to the apex of this triangle over here, guys. This goes to the middle of January. If this thing continues consolidating and then decides to break down, guys, chips are going to shit the bed. All right, if this continues consolidating and then it starts, you see this thing at like 255, 257 up here, chips are going to rock it. All right, it's one of the others about to happen, and we just at this point got to wait to see what happens because you already had one false breakdown over here. You clearly see the trend line giving you a bunch of reactions. Reaction. This is your false breakdown. Reaction. Let's see what happens. All right. And if the market does decide to, crap the bed tomorrow, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. If it craps the bed, maybe chips fall a little bit more than other stocks. But then again, like you got something looking like NVIDIA, and that just wouldn't make sense to me. Clearly showing the relative strength against every other big player on the market. It clearly is. It would not make sense for SMH to start breaking down, in my personal opinion. But if it happens, it happens. This thing has been building out for quite some time now. A big directional move is coming, and that is that. But then you got things like TSM. You can look back in this daily chart. You cannot point to a top that looks like this. You can't. It does not look like this. That's not the structure we get. This is the structure we get before we move up. This is like kind of this looking structure. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then you moved up and you had a blow-off style top. That's what I think is coming. So I think that directional move on semi is going to be the upside. I'm just going to be very clear on that one. All right. The end of the day, break above 208.05 probably happens all in 1 or 2 trading sessions. And then you move to 212.60 and then 220 in the short term. On the downside, you have this to watch. But again, with how we're looking right now, this don't make sense to me. It wouldn't make sense. But maybe, if it's going to happen from off of what we got today, you get a gap down tomorrow underneath 198.50. And then that opens the door to coming back down here. Tap 190.37. Tap the 0.618 fib here, 189.50. Then you get a bounce. We're going to have to see what happens on that bounce. But at that point, if that does become the case, SMH will have broken down. And maybe this won't end up playing out. But again, it don't make sense. Go back on the daily chart and look at a top that looks like that. Show me a top that looks like that. You're not going to find one. All right. You actually had, oh, look at this guy. Oh my gosh, look at that. And then you continue. That's another possibility. Are we going to trade flat for another 2 to 3 months after this? Oh my gosh. All right. But, I'm not going to say this wasn't a top. All right. You did trade absolutely flat in this 2021 period right here. You did. I ain't going to deny it. All right. You had a left shoulder. You had a head. You had a right shoulder. But in the end, you did still end up coming up 4% above the neckline. So, I'm going to say, guys, this don't make sense. All right. Give me that 4% move. Bring me to 215. And then let's hit that 220. MU over here, guys, you're starting to break back down. That's why I was saying you have to break above 91 here. If you could, you're probably going to get a straight shot. But what's happened? You're getting sucked back down to the void. You're breaking 84.91. I know you're finding buyers right now, but you're probably about to break it. Daily RSI is probably finally going to visit oversold territory. And I think you have a shot at coming down here to 79.15. In between here and here, you really don't have anything. It's thin air. You see this big gap up here? Well, get underneath here. You have no support. You're probably going to get sucked down to the next support. All right, Avgo, this is something that I'm liking. Okay, you're just reverting back to the mean. You somehow revisit over here. You have a 10% move to the downside. You revisit 211.11. It's probably going to act as a buying opportunity. I don't think it's going to happen with how things are looking. I think you're probably going to continue moving up. That's my thoughts on Avgo. AMD, guys, troll status is back. All right. Weekly chart. I pointed this out in the weekly update. Either the bottom is going to be right here in between 111.31 and 116.37. All right. Or the bottom is in. I do think that the time is very close here for AMD. I think it's very close. I don't like talking about the troll. The troll likes to troll me. But I did point out, once you hit oversold territory, every time over the last few years, you've came down and had that bullish divergence get put in. I said don't get faked out by the initial rally that happens, because every single time that we've had that condition meet. Well, are we about to see this low get taken out over here? Are we about to test 116.37, put in that bullish divergence over there on the daily RSI? Maybe. So we'll watch for it. ARM, guys, I do think downside is probably limited with how this, where the daily RSI is. I don't think it falls much lower than here. It's going to come down to 30, and then you get a quick snapback. Those are the chips, ladies and gents, guys. We'll talk about some Bitcoin. Bitcoin, guys, breaking down underneath the neckline of this head and shoulders pattern. I don't really care so much about that. I do want to point out that we're getting to a point where we'll probably do slide lower the coming few trading sessions. But let's just run through these things, guys. Daily RSI, notice how, it's already at 40. You get down to around 30 to 35, probably get a bottom get put in. All right, but you got Riot over here bouncing back, but same thing. All right, RSI is sitting up there. You get a little more sell. You probably get a decent bottom getting put in. TSLA, this is the one that I looked at today, and I was like, hot damn, we're probably very close to getting a big bounce over here. I know it took a long time to fall. It probably does rally back on up in a few trading sessions. All right, so I'm not saying a few trading sessions from now, but if you see, I put my alert on there. If you see the daily RSI get down to 30, yeah, you're probably only a few trading sessions away from, a big boy move like that, which, if you don't know, that was a 30% move one day. All right. Or you get, a base like that, and then eventually you get a move like that. And that's what I think is worth participating in. I said after, Bitcoin kept reaching new highs and, these guys didn't over here, they were rejecting the golden pockets. I said, it made no sense. Okay. I said, I think it's best to leave these things alone. And now I'm saying, I think we're going to watch these guys. Mara, give me oversold territory on Mara. Hit my alert right here. And we'll consider Mara over here. We'll consider, watching it very closely. And for an entry. All right. Entry on what you asked? Short-term calls? Psych. We're talking 2 to 3 months out. And then you can actually you don't need, and not stress-free. I don't want to say that, but you're not going to have to stare at the freaking chart the whole time. When you get this thing getting down here, you're probably right next to a big boy bounce. And on that big boy bounce, maybe it doesn't happen in one day. Maybe it bases around and then it happens, maybe a week after you take the position. But if you have 2 to 3 months on your calls, you don't care. And then you get one day where you get paid and you can take your profits. Okay? Right here. Right down here. Right here. Okay? And over here. This is what I'm saying. You get down here. All right? You got down to oversold territory in this day. You went a little bit lower. You went 9% lower. And it took, 2 weeks there. You based out. And then, boom. You had one day where even from that low, you were up 20% in one trading session. And from that absolute low, you were up 30%. Okay? But these are the moves that I think are probably around the corner. I don't think we're, going to fall into one of these things where you're in a crypto bear market and the market, just doesn't look like it wants to get bought up. That was all the way back over here. That was when everything was dying. Okay? We're in a clear, aggressive uptrend over here on the weekly chart. Dips are buying opportunities. I think if it comes down here, we're talking like 86,685. That's the specific level I have here. It's marked down on the daily time frame. You come down and hit that, you're probably right next to the bottom. All right, 80 to 85K. We'll say you see that. It's time to load up on the miners. No financial advice, just my opinion. All right, Coinbase is the one I'm really hoping gets oversold here. If you can do it right around this 220 level, that is preferable. All right, we'll actually change it. We'll start watching right there. All right, but you know why I like it? Yes, breakout level, but also golden pocket test. It's going to be in there. You're going to get into this golden pocket. Daily RSI is going to be oversold. I think, bottom's right around the corner at that point. I think you have a big boy rally going to be loading up. And it can take some time, which is why I said, hey, short-term options, don't do them if you want to have a good time. All right, MSTR. You had all this, you had this nice, strong setup looking over here, or loading over here. You broke out from it, and you crapped the bed. On this day, I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Well, now we see why it wasn't making sense. People wanted to sell it. Now, from this whole most recent move up, you're testing the golden pocket, guys. You haven't done that the whole time, except for when you really took off over here. Bottom was put in. Okay? I don't know if this gets bought up. I really don't. But I'm telling you right now, if this RSI gets down to here, put on a line here, you have a touch point. 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 That is where you buy. Okay? So, I was bearish on crypto. Not on crypto. I was bearish on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin stocks. But if we see the daily RSI get down here, I think that is when the buying opportunity presents itself. I don't care if you break down on this 0.786 fib. If you come test 267.89, all right, and this thing's down here, it's probably going to be down there if you make that move. At that point, guys, that's when I think it's safe to buy. I think it's finally time to buy MSTR. This was the leader. Now, hey, I know it's, you're not looking for a massive move up back up to the, to all-time highs here. You're not looking for that. But you're going to be looking for a dead cat bounce. And it's probably going to be a mean one. You come all the way down here, you test this. Okay? You're probably going to see this rally right here, guys. That is 40 to 50% that you could be taking place. That you could be taking advantage of. I don't think it's going to come back up to highs. But let's just say it gets down to where I was just pointing out. You see where the golden pocket would be? It's up here. I think you get back up there. Maybe not. Maybe you come up here and hit it with the 50% retracement. All right. And that's the price gets down to 267.89. I'm going to put my alert right here. All right. And we will see if we want to, have the cojones to step up to the plate. All right, guys. And with that being said, I do like how Roblox is setting up. I will catch y'all in the next one. Everybody have a lovely rest of their night. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and peace.